Welcome to Pagan Crafting. I'm your host, Kara. I'm your local art witch. Today, we're going to make some pagan decorations with wood slice art and glass blown beads. Enjoying these wood slices today, we're going to make some trees, some goddesses, some with antlers, using some Celtic symbols, some ancient symbols, some runes, some moons, and more. Join me today and let's make some pagan decorations. So just digging here through some of my wood cookies that I have here. I'm looking for some unusual shapes and some smaller little ones for the cascade. I like some unusual shapes so I can rock in the shape of the trees and goddesses. So I found these 4 pieces here, and then I'm gonna lay down 2 smaller hanging pieces beneath it. So I started off with some white, faded into a baby pink, going into a kind of a hot pink, now using, it's kind of a magenta purple. It's a beautiful magenta. So when you're layering and blending the colors, it's just all about loads of layers. And just working it back and forth, and it all blends in together. And what I'm doing is a little bit of black over the magenta, because I'm going to fade the white all the way into the black. But we're going to blend some of the more purple over top of that. Just loads and loads and loads of layers. There we go. And looks like I need to bring some more purple up into that pink. I think that'll look cool. This one's going to be a tree one. The one right next to that, you can tell that inspired me to make a goddess right away. So now working on the goddess, she's going to be teal. Oh, it's going to be so beautiful with the aquamarine. Again, doing my base coat and then bringing in the darker layers over top. My aquamarine, my darker one, is more of an artist acrylic, so I don't want to use too much of it. So I'm using a base coat of the craft paint of the teal. And just back and forth, loads of layers, back and forth, back and forth. I wanted the teal a little bit darker, so I blended in a tiny bit of dark, kind of a magenta blue. And now I'm bringing in some black over top of that. And the black, if you notice, I haven't been changing the colors in my paintbrush either until I go on to the next piece. I don't wash out any color. I keep using the same brush and keep blending it all the way down. You get way cooler of a blend out tone that way. So here I did rinse off the brush in water, but I went back to yellow. I was trying to make like this burgundy, so we're gonna play around with it a little bit here. It's like a burgundy red. And then I put too much on, so I need to just scrape off a bit there. And rinsing out the brush, going to the next one. This one I'm going to start off with yellow too, but going into this like a yummy apple Granny Smith green. Rocking into a pine tree green at the bottom. Again, layers, layers, layers. I had too much on my brush, so I thought I'd just wipe it off on the next piece because I'm going to be using those same colors. So don't rinse off your brush, just use your excess. And some black again. Everything will have a small amount of black fading from the lightest color down. It's going to look like a cool progression once I get into the symbols and stuff. Now you can put, I just did some spirals and I did some Celtic symbols and I did a moon. But you can totally rock some sigils on this, would look really, really neat as well. But if you just want to, if you're kind of a closet witch and you just want to keep these out in the open a little bit more, well, save the goddess symbols. But if you do the tree, for example, I just did some spirals coming off the tree. You can just say their roots. Yeah. I live totally out in the open, so I don't always think that way of certain things to hide. I'm also an older pagan now, so I definitely can have my house a little bit more paganed up. Little witchy poo decor. Now these ones I'm going to start off with some antlers. Now I've drawn everything on with pencil first to follow in my guidelines. And I feel I'm just going to do some white. I think it'll look really cool, and this is really easy to do. Now you can use tracing paper, the thermal carbon paper. And it's like a tracing paper you can put down over top of this, or you can draw it on with pencil. If you are going to do white, I may not suggest using an ink pen to trace it on because it'll kind of blur out. You'll get the graying or black around the edges. Unless you want that look, then I would line it at the end. But I think the white would look stunning just the way it is. So I want to do some easy to design crafts. And then now these ones you can hang on your tree. You can hang them all year round. I plan to have these all year round, but this was originally inspired for some Yule designs, but I never got that far. Now putting a little crescent moon and a couple little tiny moons just beneath it. A larger crescent moon for the bottom piece. Again, staying all in the white theme. Now to keep your lines really sharp when you're painting on a wood cookie that you haven't sanded, unless you've sanded it, which I have not, then it's good to keep re-dipping your paint after every lay down. And it keeps, there you go, and it'll keep your paintbrush very sharp edges. I thought I'd do Feihu because it's green and maybe the money can come to me. Some cool finances, you know, some abundance. So I thought I'd choose that runestone, and it goes with the green. Now we have some little triads. Some little triple symbols. Again, every time you do a line, if you can, re-dip it into the paint, and it will keep your lines nice and sharp, and then you won't have them super edgy looking. I pushed it. I did another line. Yeah, see, I had to go back and touch it up. I didn't have to with the other ones. There, that looked cool. Now my little goddess. Again, just taking your time and re-dipping in the paint after every single line. It'll keep everything looking so sharp. Thick thighs save lives. Heck yeah! Yeah, I thought I would have to do like a nice... I'm a chubby pagan. We'll go with a chubby goddess. Heck yeah. Oh, I think she's cute. I love these colors. She must be a fire sign. Ooh. And finishing off with a little spiral for the yonic and the legs. Now I'm going to finish lining those and let them dry. And I have these glass beads. Some of them are just machine made. Some of them are just practice glass blowing one. Some of them are just like you just make a ton of these little glass beads, and I think they're all like apprentice works and stuff because some of them aren't very good, but they're really fun. None of them match, and I got them for beadworking while we were camping. Never really used them very much, and I thought this would be perfect for this craft project because I'd like to have a whole bunch of different colors of greens and yellows to put in. It even has some black glass beads in there. And I like that they're all different kinds of beads. I think it'll look super cool. And just playing around with different configurations, whatever ones I could find. I have a certain color I have in my head, and then I try to find the bead to match the color. Now I started off with embroidery thread, and I couldn't get the embroidery thread through the bead holes on many of the beads, so then I took down the embroidery thread down to 3 strands, which it has 6, and that didn't work out. It wasn't strong enough, so I went with, I think this is like an 18 gauge wire. It's like very, very, very thin, possibly 16 gauge. It's actually wire that I use for my jewelry wrapping. So it wound up not being able to blow in the wind. It's a little stiffer, but I wound up liking the wire because I was going to use a white embroidery thread or a cotton thread. Then I even thought of like a jute twine or a hemp twine, but all of them are too thick, so the wire it is. And you'd see, with the wire you can see more of the paint, the artwork on the front of the cookies, you know, the wood slices. And there we have it. So all the parts are put together. I was going to put wire in the top, changed my mind. Thought I'd bring in some driftwood that I found at Abraham Lake this summer. And I like them all about the same size. When I snapped this one, I snapped it too short. Oh, yeah, I should have just left it longer. So now I gotta be OCD and I gotta find another twig that's gonna match the other three. And that one works. Then I snapped it too short. Snapped a longer one. Let's see this. All these work. Liking it. They're all about the same size. So I made 4 of these, 4 sticks. Now we have some hemp twine here. So I'd like to add a bead. I need a bead that is big enough so I can get the the 2 pieces of twine together. So we're gonna loop the twine together and put both pieces inside the bead, and that's gonna help secure it down, and it's gonna look a little aesthetically pleasing. Yes. And you can wrap it 2 or 3 times around one way, 2 or 3 times down the next way. I add the twine on one side and then the other piece on the other, and then it ties together perfectly that way and also creates like a nice hitch look. Looping in a figure 8 knot, you don't have to do that, just an overhand knot. Just a little closing knot will do just fine, and then you can just trim off the excess ends, and we have one piece done with little antlers and moon, and with the rune feu. And some beautiful little glass beads. Loving it. So I realize now, after looking at my little goddess, I forgot her boobies. I realize that now, but this video is pretty much almost done. That's good. But that's okay. I'll have to do them next time. I'm going to do the same thing routine first. So we're going to thread our beads on the wire, going from darkest to lightest to match. And you can bend it over just a little bit and wrap it around. So however, again, 16, 18 gauge wire, as long as it fits in the beads, it seems to work pretty nice with threading the beads and going through the wood cookies. And I didn't twist it off, anything fancy. Clipped it, I didn't even some of them I pinched a little tighter, some of them I didn't, but it doesn't need to be anything fancy because it's going to be more of a wall hanging. You can hang this in your Yule tree, you can hang this on your wall all year round. This one's going to go in my living room. I think it'll look super cool. And there we have it. Going from darkest to lightest, our gorgeous glass beads and our bootyless goddess. And here's a tree with a spiral, another bootyless goddess, and another bootyless goddess with some beautiful antlers, rocking in the glass beads with some ancient symbols. This was such a pleasure to make, and I really, really love the colors, and I love the progression from lightest to darkest. Well, thanks so very much for chilling out with me today. As always, it is a pleasure hanging out with you. Throw me out a little like up and subscribe, ring that bell, and I'll see you on the next video.